All right, this is going to be the last of the simple manipulation methods that we're going to put together. So we're going to work on the InsertAt method. InsertAt will be called with some amount of data and then an integer index of where this new node should be inserted. So we will want to create a new node and insert it at the provided index. Now, important edge case here, if the index is out of bounds, then we'll want to add the node to the end of our list. So just a little edge case there. Okay, I bet you can kind of imagine how this might work. Let's imagine that we have some list with 3 elements, and we now want to add in a 4th one. Just to be clear, when we call InsertAt, we're going to be only providing the data field. So really just this part right here. But we're going to kind of imagine that we immediately create a new node out of that data inside of the InsertAt method. Now we want to insert this new node right here at index 2. So we've got index 0, index 1, and index 2. Now when we call InsertAt, we are not overwriting anything. We are simply inserting a record. So the goal here would be to make sure that this new node gets located at index 2. That means that the current node that is at index 2 needs to be shoved on over to the right-hand side, like so. We should then insert this new node and then repair all the connections. So the previous element or the previous node should now point to the new one that we just added, and the new node should point at the previous element that was at index 2. All right, so let's talk about how we might approach this. Now there are a couple edge cases here again. We need to remember the case in which we try to insert a node in a list that is completely empty. So let's not forget about that one. The next case that we might want to consider is the case in which the provided index is completely out of bounds. So something like, we try to call add index with 12. If the index is completely out of bounds, then we should probably add on the index to the very end of the linked list. All right, so with those 2 edge cases in mind, here's one possible way, just kind of general rule of thumb of solving this. We can again use that getAt method to get a reference to the previous node in a chain. So let's say that, again, we're trying to insert something at index 2, like right here. We could use the getAt method to get a reference to the previous node. So this one right here. We will then create the new node. We will make sure that the previous one points to the new one, and that the new one points to the old one. So really, it's not the worst thing in the world. I bet you can probably figure this one out. All right, before I cut you loose, let's also take a look at some of the tests that we have around this particular method. So I'm inside of the test.js file here. I'm looking at around line 220 or so, and we're looking at the InsertAt block. So again, we're going to take care of the .skip here. And then I want to very quickly read through some of the edge cases that will be tested. So here's one possible edge case. Insert a new node with data at the index 0 when the list is empty. So that's one possible edge case. Another case would be when we try to insert a new node at index 0 when the list has elements inside of it. So that's going to be an edge case as well. And then here's a very typical use case, the case in which we try to insert some data or insert some new node at some middle index. And I think there might be one more here. So inserts a new node at the last index. So this may or may not be an edge case as well. I'll let you kind of figure that out. All right, so this is the last big one before we start working on 2 extra methods that are kind of like extra credit, so to speak. So give it your best shot, and we'll go over the solution to this in the next video.